I feel very fortunate to do what I do. On the Strength Running Podcast, I get to talk to world-class runners, coaches, strength experts, physical therapists, and mental performance consultants to really learn what works and what doesn't so that I can help more runners achieve their goals. And you know what? In this video, what I want to do is talk about some of the tried and true principles that allow elite runners to race as fast as they do. And yes, of course, they've won the genetic lottery. These people have been born with a set of physical gifts and talents that most of us will never really truly understand. They can do things that the average person just can't. But if we set aside those genetic talents, if we set aside all of the abilities that these runners were simply born with, and we ask ourselves, what else contributes to their success? We can come up with three, I think, tried and true principles that I think if you applied to your training, you're gonna get a lot faster. So let's start exploring these principles so that you can apply them to your own running, and we can get started on the business of improving. One thing that I've always noticed about elite runners is that they really prioritize building a huge aerobic engine. These athletes are always putting in incredible amounts of aerobic volume, and a lot of it is relatively easy, zone 1, 2, and some of it in zone 3. And so for us mere mortals, this means that we should really prioritize high mileage running. Now, a lot of us can't run high mileage. So what do we do in these situations when we can't actually get out there and run 100 miles a week or 120 miles a week? That's a lot of mileage, and we can't really expect the average person to be able to do that. We can try to run as much as we can, and then layer on top of all that running mileage cross training. And that cross training is really going to help us bridge the gap between what we're capable of handling and the volume that's actually going to let us express our true physical potential. So if you're someone who can't run high mileage, if you're someone who, like me, tends to get injured once you reach a certain level, and anytime you go beyond that mileage level, you end up with a niggle or an injury, what we can do is add in pool running, cycling. We can even add in the elliptical and some uphill hard hiking. I think all four of those options are really great at helping to build the aerobic engine in a way that is specific to running, but is not so risky from an injury perspective. So if you want to be like the pros, if you want to be able to run as fast as they do, we've got to run a lot. If we can't run a lot, we've got to make up the difference with some cross training. I grew up on the track and on the cross-country course, and I know that a peak performance takes the right training. It also takes the right gear. Nobody's running a PR in cotton socks and basketball shoes. So if you are someone who's a performance-oriented runner, you need the right training and the right gear to help you express a peak performance. And that's why I'm thrilled to partner with Bombas Socks on our YouTube channel. Use the link in our description underneath this video and code STRENGTH20 to save 20% off your first order with Bombas Socks. If you're trying to run a PR, use a pair of Bombas socks. They are the most comfortable, high quality pair of socks that I've ever owned, and you're really gonna benefit from the high quality stitching and the real lack of prominent seams in their socks. So it's really gonna help you focus on your running, focus on the workout or the race that you're currently in, rather than on worrying about your socks and if they're up to the task. Plus, what I really love about Bombas is the fact that not only are these maybe the most comfortable performance-oriented socks that you've ever worn, but they're also the most charitable socks you might ever wear. For every pair that you order, they are gonna donate a pair to the needy. So use code STRENGTH20 at checkout with the link under this video in the description, and you're gonna save 20% on your first order at Bombas. Thank you, Bombas, for your support. Now, the other thing that I think elites are great at, and this is sort of because it's true, is that they treat their running like a job. Now, of course, their running is a job, and they have to perform well in order to keep their contracts and perform to the level that they really need to. Now, for us, we can treat running very professionally, even though it is not our job. And that means really committing to the process of training. It means doing the best we can with doing our dynamic warm-up, doing the best we can with pacing ourselves appropriately, really executing exactly what's on our plan to the best of our ability. Not running longer than our coach told us to, not running faster than our coach told us to, and not running a lot slower than our coach told us to. It means doing all of those little things. It means not taking unstructured, non-strategic time off from the sport, because we've got to stay consistent throughout the year. So if you can treat your hobby, running, kind of like a job, kind of like you are going pro, you are going to professionally execute your training to the best of your ability, no excuses, then I think you're really going to start to feel like, number one, wow, I'm so much more consistent and I feel the effects of that. But also, you do get a lot more joy out of your training when you're doing the right thing, you're reaping the rewards, and it really is just a very fulfilling experience. So if you want to be good like a pro runner, start treating your running a little bit more professionally, and you'll start to see those results. Finally, I want you to seek out support. Every pro runner out there has support, and that's likely through two different ways. Number one, they have a coach. They have someone who plans their training, who is that objective third set of eyes, or second set of eyes? Third set of eyes, there we go, counting is fun, on their training, so that they know exactly what I should be doing, where I might have overreached, where I might not be working hard enough. Another person looking at your training can be really valuable. The other thing that these pro runners have is they have peers. They have a training group. They have other talented runners to train with, because let's face it, training is hard. Running long runs and relatively high mileage and doing all those challenging workouts is very challenging. It's difficult to do this on a day in and day out basis. And so finding a group of athletes who understand your goals, who can train with you, who can push you forward, who can keep your spirits high when you have to go do that workout, when it's really cold out, or it's really hot out, you just don't really want to do it. It's challenging to stay that consistent and to have a really good attitude about it all the whole time. So find a group of runners that you can train with. Maybe it's a running club. Maybe it's just one or two other people that you know run in your neighborhood that can keep you a little bit more honest, a little bit more consistent about your training. But I would love to see the pro runner who doesn't have a coach, who trains completely alone, because they are the exception. They are the exception that does not prove the rule. Almost every single elite athlete trains with a group and has a coach. That doesn't mean you necessarily need to hire a coach. And this is coming from a running coach. You don't need to hire anybody. You can have unofficial coaches and mentors through, maybe it's these YouTube videos. Maybe you're learning a lot paying attention to Strength Running's YouTube channel. Maybe you get a lot of guidance unofficially through running podcasts. Maybe you really like the Strength Running podcast. Maybe you take a lot of books or online continuing education courses or programs to help you learn more about the sport. You know, something I say on the Strength Running podcast all the time is knowledge is a competitive advantage. The more you know about the sport, the more you learn about the process of improvement, the better runner you're going to be. So yeah, we have a bunch of programs at Strength Running. You go to strengthrunning.com/coaching and you're going to learn about some of the content specific programs that we offer, but you don't have to take any of our programs. You could take a USATF coaching curriculum. You could take a lot of other courses out there that are going to help you learn more about the sport. Just remember to surround yourself with people you can learn from, people who are going to push you to be a better version of yourself. And if you follow these three principles, try to exercise a lot. Keep it in zone 1, 2, 3. Surround yourself with supportive peers. Learn as much as you can from a coach or other sources. And of course, treating your running more professionally. These are tried and true fundamental principles that elite runners use to achieve their potential, and you can too.